welcome to the Sift. My name is Nathan Elder. Just two Christian friends having honest conversations about real life. I'm here with my friend Jeff Holtzclaw. Good morning, man.
Good morning, Nathan. Episode 5.
Oh my word.
Yep. Moving down the road. What's on the agenda?
Yeah, man. Today we're gonna pick up where we left off last time. Last time we were talking about destructive words that have the power to tear down, to destroy. And today we just want to talk about words that have the power to give life. I mean, Proverbs is clear. I heard one guy say years ago. He said, words can kill, and words can give life. You choose.
Yeah.
And so today let's talk about choosing words that give life and bring healing.
Yeah, I don't want to take us off a rabbit hole, but I'm pretty good at that. You said you mentioned two things last week that's been weighing fairly heavily on my mind the whole week. One of them was that it's in Matthew 12. It says, in the last days or the day of judgment, we will give account for every careless and idle word. And man, brother, that hit me.
Wow.
Because I think as I go through the day, golly, maybe the majority of my words are just idle words. I need to do a better study on this. I know what a careless word is, right? Careless word probably has deeper negative connotations than an idle word, but an idle word is just something that's sort of neutral, idle, not pointing towards good, right?
Yeah.
So it's not saying they're just careless ones that would hurt somebody's heart, but just words that don't matter. Why are we even saying these words? And it got me thinking about how Christ should be on our mind 24/7, and in everything we should do should be pointing towards Him. Every word, and that seems impossible in our day, right? Because you're in a work project, you're working about something technical. You can't say, and this is where we'll put the crucifix in the circuitry.
Right.
But your words can still be seasoned with grace in all circumstances, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking about that, right? That we should be about our Father's business all of the time.
Yeah. Man.
And then I'll let you respond. And the other one was that well done, my good and faithful servant. That these uplifting words that grace provides us when we meet God. That, and it reminds me when I was a boy of my grandfather, the best guy I ever met. He totally helped mold my life. Super kind. I was this young child that, man, I was just somebody who naturally needed encouragement as a small boy. I think I still do. And he gave it to me. If I did something great, it could have been skipping a rock more than twice, right? Catching a little fish. Atta boy, way to go. And it made me feel like, oh man, if I can skip a rock twice, I bet I can skip it 3 times, right? It just, that well done. And to think about my grandfather telling me that, who was this great man, and then to multiply that by infinity, to think that one day God Almighty will say, atta boy.
Yeah.
Get on up in here.
Yeah.
So these words, whether they come out of God's mouth, which are the best words, or the words that come from our mouth, are so important. So I really do appreciate you putting this sort of 2-part study or discussion together.
Yeah, man. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And, to the first part, just about the careless words and the idle words, it's sobering. I mean, I think so many of we're just not thinking, although I think there's a place for downtime. And it doesn't mean we need to ever speak careless words, but I think Jesus talked about cabinets or rocks or whatever he was building, he talked about the normal everyday things of life. Yes, I want them potatoes, Yeah. I mean, it's like those things happen. I think we need to understand that in our conversations, when we move towards substance and relationships and interactions, but even when we ask for the potatoes or even when we talk about the cabinets, we can do it in a way that's seasoned with grace, that's life-giving. Rather than being demanding, we're appreciative. Rather than being so, I think even in those mundane moments, we can have a very grace-filled, kind of gospel-shaped, if that doesn't sound too crazy, words. And I say that because we need our hearts to be filled with grace, because I'm telling you, it's when the potatoes don't get passed fast enough and we get frustrated, it comes out. And whatever's in, you guys have heard it. We've heard it. Whatever's in this cup, when it gets bumped, that's what's going to come out of the cup. And it's the same way with your heart and my heart, is that whenever we get bumped by the pressures and challenges of life, whatever's in there is just going to spill out. And if what's in your heart is malice and anger and frustration and pride, whatever else, if that's what's in there,
that's what's coming out.
Man, whoever's on the other side better look out, because it's going to be tough for them. They're going to be hit with those words, and it's going to be destructive. But on the other side, if our hearts are filled with grace, which only comes by the life-giving power of the Holy Spirit and the life-giving words of Scripture, when that happens, when we're full of grace and we get bumped, it's like, hey, no big deal. It's okay. Yeah, thank you. Hey, no worries, you go first. Whatever the case might be, it becomes a very gracious tone. But I think in the last day when we give an account, I don't know exactly what that's going to look like on that day, and but when we stand before the Lord and we give an account for our words, there will be no condemnation. Whatever it means for us to give an account, there will be no condemnation for the people of God. I mean, Scripture is clear in Romans chapter 8 and other places as well that there is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So whatever the accounting is, it's not a condemning kind of accounting. And
I'm glad you said that, because I'm counting on Christ. I'm not counting on me.
Yeah,
because if it's not true that my sins are separated from me as far as the east is and from the west, or if it's not true that Christ won't remember my sins, I don't have any hope.
Yeah.
I will be scuffed up by the Lord himself because of the words I've said.
Yeah.
I can't take them back. They've already been said. They've already been said in the past before you mature as you get older. I've said awful things, but you know what? I know me. I'm gonna mess up today. So, but for God, that day of judgment looks awful.
Yeah, except for the grace of God.
Yeah,
that's it. And I appreciate you bringing that up. The other thing you said was about your grandpa, and what was your grandpa's name?
Oh, greatest name in the world, Bruno Copey.
That is awesome.
Bruno.
Yeah. So my grandpa's name was Chester Ray. Chester Ray. And everybody called him Ray, but yeah. And I told you he never called me Nathan. Yeah. So Nathan. I don't know if I've said on there, but my grandfather always called me Nathan. He never called me Nathan, and he wasn't trying. It just was his way. He was a World War II guy in the Coast Guard. Awesome. He was a butcher and just a simple man in many ways, but man, I love my grandfather and miss him a ton.
Yeah, same.
Anyway, well, let's plow in. How about that?
Yeah,
let's kind of dig into these words.
Yep.
So the kind of the theme verse, if you will, the place where we're going to start off is in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18, and this is what it says. It says, "There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts." Right, those wounding kind of words. We talked about that last week. But the second half of verse 18 says, "But the tongue of the wise brings healing."
Yeah.
Right? The tongue of the wise brings healing. And we really want to lean into that, those healing, life-giving words. So we kind of, I don't think we really have to be convinced or persuaded that words matter. I mean, we know they matter. When I think about the significance of words, I guess. Yeah, we go back to the time when our kids first learn how to speak, right? We're waiting, like, oh, man.
Say dad. Say dad.
They say, oh, roll tide. That was the first word or whatever.
Well, they ought to. They ought to.
Or War Eagle, whatever.
Oh, Lord.
Don't say that. No. But, their first words come out and you're like, oh, man, your kids start talking and you're like, man, they just blabber all the time. They won't shut up. They're just talking all the time. And so anyway, but then you go from the very beginning of life when we begin to speaking words to the very end of life when the last words are spoken. And I'll remember, not to be like super heavy, but my mother passed away earlier this year. And I remember going, it was very unexpected, and was at the hospital with her. And I just never knew when the last words were going to be. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know that was the last interaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there were a few moments of kind of flashes of clarity and personality, and that was it.
Oh, mercy.
And then there's no more words, and you're just like, there's so much left unspoken. There's so many things I want to say, so many things I want to ask and hear.
Yeah.
And so the words, from the time we have the capability of speaking words until the very end of our life when we have no more words we're going to say, it's like in that span, man, we want our words to count. We want our words to make a difference. So I don't want to go too far down that path, but I just want to say, you just want to make your words matter.
Yeah.
You want to make them count.
Yeah.
So let's talk about healing words. One of the things we talked about, or that we've got on our kind of outline, our super duper outline here, is just truthful words. Words that are honest. If our words are going to be life-giving words and helpful or healing words, they have to be truthful words. They can't be dishonest. They can't be flattering words that are just insincere. They need to be truthful words. Proverbs chapter 12, the same place, it says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. Right? And just a few words earlier, though, just a few verses earlier, it says that truthful lips endure forever.
Mm-hmm.
So we know. What do you think? How are honest words, how are they helpful words? Give me some examples about of where speaking the truth is actually a helpful thing, a healing thing.
This is truth always helps, right? But it goes back to some of our earlier conversations about criticism too, right? Because you can say some truthful things with an iron glove, and that is a lot of times harmful, not beneficial, because the person receiving it may not take it in. You taking notes?
Absolutely, man. when you're dropping nuggets of wisdom, absolutely.
So it's I think not only do you need to speak the truth, but you need to cover that truth in love if it is a criticism. Now, if it's not a criticism, but you're speaking the truth about something good, some good news, I think you should be extravagant with that, right?
Yeah.
Because that to me that helps. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the cover it, like sugarcoat it. Cover it, slather it in the gravy of grace.
Yes.
Put grace and love all over that truth before you deliver it. Some of the situations that kind of come to mind when it's truth, I tell you, there are. I've known people, you've known people, maybe we've experienced it ourselves, where there are others in their life that are just really beating them down. Yeah. Like, man, I know one person, and I'll use this, and I'm going to be careful. I don't ever want to say anything crass on here, but I do sometimes these examples from real life come to mind. And the example is, I know a man who would say to his wife, he would say, "You don't have the sense God gave a goat." And I'm telling you, brother, those are words that are just wounding and heal, just tear you down. And I say that because it's not true.
Right.
It's not true.
Right.
The woman was brilliant. The woman was brilliant. And so it's when she's around the husband is not being truthful. The husband is just tearing her down with these criticisms that are over the top and just terrible. But then she gets around Christian friends, and Christian friends are like, man, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Man, I love it when you share your insights about things. That's the truth. They're telling the truth to her about her value and her worth. And I think the world around us and even people in our homes and in our lives can just beat us down with things that are not true, telling us that we don't have worth, we don't have value, we're unintelligent, we lack sense, whatever the case might be. They can tear us down. And the truth says otherwise. No, hey, you're actually made in the image of God. You have dignity and worth. And I think those are, when we speak that way, it's not like we're always walking around saying, man, Jeff, you're made in the image of God.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk like that.
Yeah.
But we do.
You should.
Maybe we should more often. Maybe we should try that this week. Try that on this week. But I think when we speak to people, we speak to them with dignity and we're truthful about who they are. I also think truth can just be uncomfortable, but not bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, we had to, my wife and I, we had to talk recently with our kids, and it was not a bad conversation at all, but it was just awkward. You know, you got to sit down, you kind of have to say, hey, look, we would like to talk about some stuff. You guys be open to talking about some stuff. We need to kind of clear the air on some things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad in the sense that it wasn't negative. It was just saying, hey, we need to talk about this. And they were true. We were talking about what was true and what was on. We were just being honest with each other about things. But we weren't, there was no heavy hand, no iron fist or iron glove. It wasn't like that. It was just saying, we want to talk about what's really going on. And sometimes those healing words are just being honest about what's going on. Rather than just going around it and dancing around or pretending like it's not happening. We just need to be honest about it.
I keep getting this thought in my mind that words can fix nearly anything.
Well,
but to do that, the person speaking those words has to have a change of heart. So let me give you the example that I'm thinking about. Think if there was a parent that had basically abandoned their children or something, and just a lot of bad things had happened. That parent had gone astray for drugs or whatever reason was. Say there was this bad situation, and they've been estranged from their children for a time, and the children in their heart, just like any child would, have this spot that they want their parent back. They want their parent back. Mm-hmm. And you look at the situation and think, this is pretty easy to fix, stepwise.
Yeah.
If that parent would come to that child or those children and say, hey, look, I have made a mess. I have made a mess of my life. I've made a mess of your life. I have run off the rails. I do not know if I can ever make things right with you, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be the parent that I wasn't, and I will be involved in your life as much as you will allow me. I'm going to call you every week. I'm going to do these things that I don't know how to do, but I'm going to do it because I love you. That would fix a lot. Mm-hmm. But that's hard, and for that estranged parent who had gone off the rails and in so much time and so many bad words and so many bad situations have come between them, the heart change would have to be by God.
Yeah.
For them to say that.
Yeah.
But it can happen. It can absolutely happen, right? Because you could speak the gentlest words to your children who are longing for that relationship, guaranteed. Doesn't matter what's gone on between you. They're longing for that. But it takes a change of heart. But words could absolutely fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's so good.
Well, I've seen it in people I know, and I thought, well, just fix this.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. It's hard. It's humbling. It's all the things that the human nature struggles against, right? Yeah. And we don't say the words we want to say.
Well, that to kind of segue and move forward to the next thing, I would right along with that, kind of this idea that they have to be ready to hear it, and I think you have to be ready to say it. I think the timing of words is really important. And Proverbs talks about a word fitly spoken, an apt word, words where the timing of the word is right. And you've had people in your life where they said things and you're like, what the heck? Like, why would you say that? Or where did that come from? It just seems like it's out of nowhere. But there are very timely words.
There are.
And when it comes to the timing, it's when do I say this? We talk about what do we say is the truth? How do we say it? We say it grace covered and seasoned with love. We talk about words that we use those kinds of words. But then it's the when. It's when do we actually say these things? And I think there's a timeliness to it. I don't want to speak my words when I'm angry, right? I think when I'm hot, my words are hot. They come out like lava, and I don't want that. And I know I've been guilty of saying things in my anger that
really,
man. And no, it's only happened once back in 1987, but it happened. But I tell you, those things. I think we need to be in a good place as best we can regarding anger before we try to say something.
Yeah,
I think we need to be in a good place. And I would even say when it comes to timing, like I need to have some thoughts gathered and together. Sometimes when things come up or somebody shares something, it's like, can I get back to you? I need to kind of gather my thoughts, or I need to kind of think through that before I dive into it.
That's wise. And I don't think I ever do that. But you're right. I mean, there's things you need to consider right before you speak.
Mm.
Yeah, and well, if somebody asks me for my advice, I'm starting telling them right then.
I probably do that more than not. But I guess the timing of it is there are times when people really don't need a lot of words. I think about people that I know who have lost loved ones, or even myself when I've lost loved ones.
That's just true.
Man, I just don't need somebody to give me a big principle like, and again, when it comes to the true words, I don't need people coming. You don't need to go to somebody who's lost a loved one, and don't ever say something like, well, God just needs another angel in heaven, or something that's just totally untrue. That is not reality. And in the moment of grief, the comforting words are very few words, and you don't need to explain it away. You don't need to minimize it or dismiss it. You just don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. I think when people are grieving, kind, loving, comforting words, reassuring words, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
This is so hard.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Asking good questions.
Yeah.
But all that to say, in that time, I don't need to be trying to teach a bunch of lessons when somebody's grieving. I would also need to be able to read the room, and if the other person is really upset, hey, maybe now's not the time, but I think we do need to talk about this. So maybe later you and I can pick this up. And so knowing if you go into a room and somebody's angry, and you may do this, I say you, like the people listening, all three of you out there. That
welcome.
Yeah, glad you're here. The idea that people, if you know the other person's angry and you're like, I'm going in there right now and I'm going to tell them
straighten this out.
This
right
is it. We're taking it. Man, you are just doomed to failure. Like, this is not going to go well. And you need to give them time to cool off. You need to cool off. All it's going to do is just be a powder keg ready to explode. And so the timing of the words matters a great deal. I don't know. When would be a bad? I've talked about being angry or being sad, maybe saying too many words when people are sad. But what are some other? Can you think of any other examples of when it's like not a good time?
You were talking about the timeliness of this, and I was trying to think in my mind: is there ever a bad time to be kind or say caring words?
Wow.
Is there a because if words are apt and timely, does that mean my gut is no. That I don't know, man. If a kind word is probably always timely.
I think a kind word is. I don't think there's a bad time necessarily. The one thing that comes to mind is when Jesus is dealing with his kind of religious opponents, the religious leaders of the day.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the disciples, and it's like, I don't want to keep casting my pearls before the swine. In other words, I don't want to keep saying things to people who see no value in what I say. My words are just like slop. They don't have any value to these people.
Yeah.
And I think there's a point at which the talking is done. And so at that point, if a person won't listen, or if they just refuse to be anything but combative, or they just disregard your words, at some point you say, look, I'm not going to continue to say these things.
And you disregard.
Yeah, it's just not having any effect.
Oh, that's deep.
So maybe
that's
yeah.
But, that's why you're over there and I'm here.
No, it just means
that's very insightful. Yeah.
And those are. I don't ever want to be on the other end of that. Meaning I don't ever want to be the one that so devalues. Pig-headed. I don't want to be that way where somebody's talking to me and I'm dismissing it and acting like, whatever, that doesn't matter, or get over it. You just need to get over it. You need to move on. I don't want to just devalue. If somebody's hurt or upset about something, I don't want to just dismiss them.
Right.
And so I don't want to be the pig, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess we probably need to wrap this up. I think our time is about up, or maybe we're a little over time. But let me just say this. I'm looking at our notes here just to kind of figure out where to land the plane. The idea that we want to speak words that are true. Those are powerful, life-giving words. We want to speak words that are timely. We want to speak words that are tempered. I gotta have another T. The tone of our word. I'm totally going this whole preacher thing right now, but that's alliteration. But that only happens when our hearts are transformed by the grace of God.
That's right.
And so this is not about communication techniques, although communication techniques are great, to be thoughtful about how we say things. That's not really what this is about. This is about the way we speak to other people being a ministry to other people, a way to care for and demonstrate the love of Christ to other people. The way to demonstrate the wisdom of God to other people is by speaking words that are truthful and graceful or gracious, and that only happens when our hearts are transformed by the grace of God. We need that. This is not about Nathan just having a bunch of good ideas or Jeff having a bunch of good ideas. It's really about us saying, we want to take the words of life that come from Scripture and from the Holy Spirit and use those to bless and build up other people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
We've been talking last 2 weeks about words, and you could probably close your eyes and you could think of somebody that is special to you. And I guarantee you that person that is special to you has showered you in kind words, in loving words, and that their heart towards you is loving.
Yeah.
And I know that the reason we're doing this podcast is more about winning friends and influencing people. But you look across and that's not a bad thing, right? It's not bad to be influential because you can be influential for the gospel,
right?
Right? You can be. We should be.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that skill set where people find you attractive, just not physically attractive like me and you, but
right. But they're attracted to you. They're drawn to you.
They're drawn to you. And most of the time you're drawn to somebody is because of their kindness, what they think about you, right?
Yeah.
And if you can have that heart for people where you find the good in them and you tell them about it, I think that it gives you an insight into that person that you could use to spread the gospel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, the last thing I'll say, and then maybe we need to wrap up.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Send everybody on their way for today. But what you're describing, that kind of almost like there's something magnetic about you. I just pray that is Christ in me.
Yes.
That whatever draws people is some reflection of Jesus Christ in me, drawing people to me. And there will be some people that will not be their flavor. They will not want that.
That's right.
But I don't want my own pig-headedness, my own bullheadedness to push people away. But rather, I would love that to be so transformed or so moving forward in the process of becoming conformed to the image of Christ that people see something of Him in me.
Yeah, that's
and
beautiful.
it draws them to the gospel.
That's right.
So, well, listen, great to be with you guys today. We hope that you're taking something away from today. If there's some insight, if you're just like, hey, man, Nathan, you need to fix your hair, or, you guys should talk about something else, you put it in the comments below. Be nice, use truthful, gentle, kind words, grace-filled words, and whatever comments you leave. But until next time, we hope that you have a great week. Lord bless.